Hi there, my name's Harley Alexander, and I'm in the Art Gallery of New South Wales with Paul Ogier, where he's got 3 works exhibited in the exhibition Photography in Place. Paul, can you tell me a little bit about your works?
Well, they're set in atomic landscapes in Australia, so they're drawing on these ones in particular, 53 tests at Emu Field, which was the second round of tests that the British did in Australia to develop the atomic bomb in that Cold War period. So it's going back into that landscape and looking at these landscapes now as they stand today.
Your works are extremely desolate. Why did you choose photography as a medium to portray this?
Well, I guess working with a camera, it's one way of getting into these landscapes. The thing with these landscapes is that you don't actually know what to expect when you get in there. There's not a lot of work that's been made now in a contemporary sense. I mean, it's not a thing of turning up on one afternoon and making a body of work. It's a sense of patience.
What's it actually like being there in the environment?
Well, I mean, the radiation is still a real issue out there. You're dealing in these environments, it's alpha radiation. At the moment, there was an interesting relationship to what's going on in Japan. They had a street reading of at 2,000 counts per minute. In this particular area, I've picked up readings at 5,000 counts per minute. So that's still incredibly high. It's a radiation type that can be blocked through clothing, but it's still a real danger in that you can ingest particles that will lead to potentially lung cancer and bone cancers. And I don't think people sort of understand that Australia's connection to nuclear history is a big one. It's the thing you can't see in the landscape, is the fact the radiation is there and the fact there is a constant ongoing fear of being out there and whether it's worth the risk. And that's something that drives me in the work and something I quietly try and put in the images. It's a big issue.
And so these digital works or analog works, and why did you choose?
So these are inkjets.
Yep.
They're made on big commercial inkjet printers that I calibrate and work and control myself so that I can get a result. So in that sense, it's a digital workflow. They're shot with film, on film, and then drums scanned up. So the resolution is put in right from the beginning. But at the end of the day, it's not about a digital file, it's about a print. So with these, there are a limited number of prints, and I don't release it until I'm happy with the print, and the print is the image.
Can you tell me a bit about how the images in this photo kind of relate to the story and the history behind it?
So this is actually one of the photographic roads. It's just on the start of the road, where they had a camera tower to photograph the atomic bomb.
Okay.
So it's photography talking to photography, and in terms of the photographers and the work that would have gone down that road. When the bomb fired, the clouds swept across the photography tower where people were working, and it became a contaminated area. So in this particular image, it's referencing almost the bomb shape in the trees being part of the landscape. You can't avoid seeing all these references. Here's a landscape that the science literally washed over the top of.
You've made your way into the Art Gallery of New South Wales with your photography work. Has it been a long journey, and what got you into it?
I actually stepped off and looked at becoming a photographer in the Air Force for a while, and then quickly rejected the way that they lived their life and what was dictated upon them, and realised that you end up making a stand about something. Went back, studied photography, went to art school. I mean, I've formerly trained as a designer and as a printmaker, but all of those things have actually led to the skills and the ability I have to understand the technology in the making. But at the end of the day, I've come back to a camera, and I think the biggest thing is to follow what interests you, and if it keeps strongly pulling at you, you just got to keep chasing it.
I've also got some works in the Art Gallery of New South Wales. Should we go downstairs and check them out?
So, looking at your photographs here, I'm interested in these landscapes and why you end up there making the particular work that you make. Can you just talk about that?
Well, I do a lot of travelling in my life, and I love visiting new places, exploring them, and I think one thing about photography that's fantastic for me is I can capture that and take it back with myself. And so what I found myself doing was taking these big kind of like photo-stitched photos, and then I get to relive the memory myself, but also kind of other people can interpret it in their own way.
Now, you've made a book with these images, and you've made some prints. I'm interested in how you found the process of making quite an intimate object.
I just think the book complements and kind of explores the concept that I'm dealing with more in depth than just having big prints on the wall.
And so in terms of working in these environments, do you think about the fact that, 30, 60 years ago, everything was made in the camera and you worked and you had to get what you got there? Post-production is sort of something that's come along now where some people rely on that to resurrect something that hasn't quite worked.
Because I'm so young, it's always sort of been around. I wasn't around when analog photography was the only thing that you could shoot with, and post-processing's been a big part of my life. I've been into it for the past 8 years, and it's just fantastic what you can do. I mean, these are obviously just so oversaturated, and it kind of brings out a new character to the landscapes that I shoot, and that's only possible because of the technology that I have available.
So then that leads to one question I want to ask is whether you can develop a black and white film.
To be honest, I have no idea how to use the darkroom. I've always been into digital work since I got my camera. I'd go out and do the shoot and spend hours and hours on my computer, but that was sort of my darkroom time as opposed to spending all the time processing all the prints through the chemicals and everything. Makes it a lot easier, I can see what I get straight away. Thank you very much, Paul, for showing me your works. It's been very interesting for me, sort of seeing where the high end of the industry that I'm sort of interested in, and I had a really good time discussing it.
Pleasure. I think there's a lot of potential in what you're doing, and it's just a matter of following it hard and staying interested and working it.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks.